Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman for this Friday, December 3rd, 2021. This is 134, and we're calling this one The Cream Rises to the Top. Want to welcome everybody that's out there. Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk about some boxing this evening. We got some fights coming up through this weekend that will carry us through Sunday night. And it's exciting because it's still taking place in that lightweight division, man. I've been talking about it all week. And I still say there's a chance for some history to take place here when all these fights are said and done. And we're going to be right here tomorrow night with a post-fight show after the Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz card, and then we will be back again Sunday night after the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, where he's taking on Isaac Cruz. Yes, sir. A nice full weekend of boxing, and I can't wait to see what's going down. For those of you who are out there, been there for a minute, please smash that like button if you haven't. For those who are coming in, do the same. And for those who are just ear slutting, you do the same too. We got a reminder that tomorrow, 12:30 Central Time, 12:30 p.m. Central Time, we're going to have the OG, the singing OG, KC Boxing Network on an episode of the In the Eye of the Storm. So for those of you who are big fans of KC and what he brings to the community and the airwaves, let everybody know, sound the alarm. We finally got KC, and it's going to be an exciting time to sit down for the two Chicagoans, to talk some boxing, and we're going to present it to you right here on this channel. That's tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 p.m. Central Time. KC joins In the Eye of the Storm. Yes, so welcome everybody. Let me just say that off the heels of last weekend, interesting fight that took place, action-packed fight between Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr., which saw knockdowns on both fighters' parts, some give and take, some blood, and some guts spilled throughout the ring, and we saw that Teofimo Lopez relinquished his unified titles. That's right, unified, not undisputed, but unified. And we saw him, leave the ring quite angry and upset at himself because he couldn't get it done. But that's okay, because like a true champion, a true trailblazer, George Kambosos sent him on his merry way, as only a true champion can. And let me tell you, the man has been making the rounds this week and speaking. He's shown up. He showed up at the pressers for Devin Haney and Jojo Diaz, and he was there to talk to media and personalities alike. And he has acquitted himself well and quite admirably, as he has become a new force in the division, especially with the unified titles now in his possession. So again, we're still saluting George Kambosos Jr. because he came in like a true superhero and saved boxing, at the lightweight division from some dastardly, deadly, poisonous, venomous culprits, And let's just hope that he has locked them away for good. That's right. I like comic book movies, and I'll make those analogies all day long as we see these people bite the dust. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys have had a great week. It's been an up and down week for Stormy B, man. Man, his pinched nerve is kicking like Bruce Lee, and I ain't digging it, man. I feel like Chuck Norris up in here getting kicked by Bruce Lee. You understand? So, welcome to everybody out there. I don't know how far up I can go with the people who are in the building, but I'll start off with Young World out there. I know it may have been a few more people before him. He says, salute Big Storm, salute to the chat. Drew Titan LLC is in the building saying, yo, Big Homie Coop is out there saying, salute Sifu, backsmack the like button people, and class is in session, so pay attention. That's right. That's right. You tell them, Big Homie Coop, and bash them upside the head with that wrench when they deserve it. Some people like walking around with hickeys and holes in the top of their head, and we here at the Stormy B-Man channel will gladly oblige you. That's right. Yave is out there saying, instrumental on point, though. Appreciate you, Yave. He's another one that's now starting to really show that support for the channel, and I'm always glad to see the brother out there, and I feel especially glad since he told me how to correctly pronounce his name, because that's important. There's respect when people say your name the correct way. That's right. Who else we got out here? We have a few more people out there in the chat. MPWTF is out there saying, salute, Sensei and chat family. Yes, sir. Salute to you. Right back at you, man. And Reese Bro is out there saying, salute, Stormy B, man. Wrenches in chat. Salute to you as well. Mr. Pac-Man 216 is out there saying, salute, Big Dog, and salute to you. So, yeah, I know there's a few more out there lurking, as y'all known to do. But that's okay because, lurkers ain't workers, and we ain't going to worry about them. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, we're going to have a great show this evening. My man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens will join us in a bit. But I thought I'd take this time out to kind of catch us up on something that I hadn't presented in a while, and that is the opportunity to talk a little bit about our Thunderous Top 10, which I had indicated that we may see a change to the Thunderous Top 10 after these fights wrap at the end of Sunday night. So at the current moment, we'll go with what is the current Thunderous Top 10. Now, understand that Stormy B-Man's Thunderous Top 10 is done with in mind. Let's just put it like this. The Thunderous Top 10 for Stormy B-Man's channel is a list of the fighters who have the most impact on the sport at the moment. And right now, we've seen some things take place over the past month that have allowed me to make a transition prior to this evening. So that's what you're seeing right now, that particular list. And it is a list that changed from a few weeks earlier. A few weeks earlier saw another name in there, which was your Dennis Ugas for defeating Manny Pacquiao. And at the time that I had him in there, Ugas, with that victory over Pacquiao, had popped in at number 9. But since then, we also had my man, Demetrius Andrade, finally got back in the ring. And when Andre got back in the ring, he showed he meant some business with his performance. I was waiting to give Andre that opportunity to pop back up there in the ratings because he's an exceptional fighter, man. And Demetrius Andrade spared no expense when he took his opponent out in grand fashion in one round. I loved it, man. He sent a message to all of his contemporaries and colleagues whether it was David Benavidez, whether it was Canelo Alvarez, whether it was Jamal Charlo, Triple G, Demetrius Andre proved something to the people, that he can go in there and focus up and let his hands go and put people on the floor. Yeah? So he popped on into that thunderous top 10 for this go round. Another fighter who had been hanging around just outside the ratings is Devin Haney, who happens to be fighting tomorrow afternoon. Now, the interesting thing about Devin Haney, I have him in at number 10 here, but his fight and performance against Jojo Diaz will prove to us whether or not he's going to hang around for the long haul, or if he's going to find himself on the outskirts of this top 10. It's all based on the performance that he brings us. Now, Shakur Stevenson, who's in at number 8 here, Shakur gave us a lot to think about after his unanimous decision victory over good friend, Semper Fi, Jamel Herring. And that fight, Shakur put on display a great deal of why some people consider him the next future top pound-for-pound fighter. This young man displayed defense, taking shots off of his gloves, off of his wrists, off his arms, walking Herring into shots, letting combinations flow, and all the while making it look effortless. Shakur Stevenson is a comer, people, and there are some fights out there that could be made with this young man, but we have to see how Bob Arum and Top Rank move him, because if my guess is correct, they are not going to allow this guy the opportunity to make the name and legacy for himself, not at this time and not with their promotional group, because everyone over there that can fight him can lose to him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I can't wait to see him in the ring again. Coming in at number 7 is Brian Castaño. Now, Castaño fought a very good fight against Jamel Charlo, who happens to hold all of the belts besides his WBO title. In a fight that went back and forth between these men, Castaño proved why he is one tough cookie, and definitely being Argentinian, he knows that there's a huge legacy of fighters out of Argentina that have given others fits throughout the years of boxing. Castaño is definitely one of that ilk. There's talk of a rematch happening possibly in January or February. We'll see. And maybe, just maybe, Jamel can put his mouth to rest and put his fist to the test, because we tired of hearing the dude talk. We're tired of seeing him running around on camera, insulting fans and talking gibberish, We want to see you in the ring, man. That's the only place we want to see you. And if you were to ask me personally, I'd like to see him in cuffs behind bars somewhere, and let someone else take over and fight. But that's just my personal taste, Now, at number 6, another dangerous fighter out there, the monster, Naoya Inoue. Now, this man has played rock'em sock'em with everyone in his division after winning the tournament, the Muhammad Ali Trophy. His fight against the Filipino Flash showed that he was the best in the world. There may be a rematch with them on the horizon, but just understand that the Filipino Flash is getting older. And according to his last few fights, Inoue is getting better. So, but he has a punch of a bigger man. He gets people out of there, people. And that's what people like to see in boxing at the end of the day. They like to see knockouts. And Inoue delivers. There's a reason why he has that nickname, Monster, and he lives up to it. I like this kid, but I just want to see him challenge himself. He may have to go up a weight division or two to really be able to provide the type of challenge that people want to see for him. Now, at number 5, another one of our champions that will be fighting this weekend, Sunday night to be exact, we have Gervonta Tank Davis. He's going to be taking on the bull, the pit bull, Isaac Cruz. How will he fare? It's going to be interesting. Both men can punch. Both men are aggressive. Both men deliver crowd-pleasing action. But only one man is going to prevail in this fight Sunday night. Will you tune in to see it? I know I will, because fists are going to fly. And just here's a little hint for you. So will Isaac. Yes, sir. But I still want to see it. Why? Because we all love train wrecks. You can take that to the bank. We all love train wrecks. Now, coming in at number 4 on the Thunderous Top 10 is Alexander Usyk, another superhero in the sport of boxing who came and did away with Dastardly Dan himself, AJ, the man who worships gangsters and mafia people, and thugs and hoodlums and people who scare folks and rob old ladies coming out of the grocery store and stuff like that. Those are his heroes, So, Alexander, in the words of the staple singers, let's do it again, Do it to AJ again. Get rid of this misfit out of boxing, Because we don't need people who worship thugs and hitmen and gangbangers and gangsters. Not in the sport of boxing, So, Usyk, you don't know the service you did the community and the sport overall. You, just like George Kambosos, man, salute to you brothers, man. Y'all keeping boxing above water by yourself, getting rid of these villains, Say it with me, people. Getting rid of the villains of boxing, For those who were fooled thinking that AJ was okay, he ain't, He told you as he stared into that camera, As his eyes went somewhere else, into a deep, dark place, You understands me, Yeah, that's what he said. So guess what? Off with his head, 10 feet below. That's what I say. Now, at number 3, holding steady and fast, is Earl Spence Jr. He's had some hiccups in his career, so he hasn't been able to be in the ring to do his thing, but he will soon be back. And there will be fighters on their backs when Spence comes back, because he's going to look to set out to prove some things. We just hope that eventually it leads to a big opportunity at some point next year where he faces Terrence Bud Crawford, But in the meantime, in between time, just like on this list, is Josh Taylor. He who scoffed at Teofimo Lopez's advances, Like a guy who's trying to holler at a female way out of his league, Teofimo came up there trying to challenge Josh at a catch weight, A catch weight? Seriously? For a man who came up, got his out the mud, No jibber jabber, no cheating of the scorecards. Josh Taylor beats people's ass, man. And he became undisputed. That's right. Undisputed. And he is not going to be a champion of a catch weight. Because that's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to catch an opportunity to fight a big fight, whether it's in his own division or looking up at the division just above, which is welterweight, where you see the man that I said that I thought was the welterweight of the welterweights currently, and that's Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, this list has changed and shuffled around because just on the last listing, Bud was very low. He had dropped all the way down to like number 7. But what he did in showing everybody Sean Porter's derriere, things that people didn't think he could do. In the meantime, the fight itself was quite entertaining. Showtime Sean brought what Showtime Sean brings. He brought aggression, he brought pressure, he brought even a bullying strength, to which Bud answered all of that, plus some, ended up showing Sean who was really the stronger guy physically, and who was the stronger guy mentally. 24 hours later after the fight, Sean was still trying to fathom why was Bud able to remain so calm under the storm that he thought he was bringing, and how he was able to take the fight to another level that Sean didn't realize existed. That says more about Sean than it says about Bud. Because I believe Bud has something that is called untapped potential. But he tapped Sean enough times to put his butt on the canvas. Something they didn't think he could do. And then when people complained that it looked like Showtime Sean's dad stepped in and robbed Bud of a KO and all of that, and robbed Sean of going out on his shield, and robbed boxing itself, and robbed you and me and they. Listen, Kenny ain't no fool. He brought Sean back home to the stool. He didn't want to see Sean massacred like some of you savages out there, but that's okay too, because at the end of the day, most people think or thought that Sean was going to beat Crawford anyway, going to stop him and everything else. Where y'all at though? Listen, it's going to take a good fighter, if not great fighter, to defeat Bud Crawford. And he's going to have to be able to defeat him inside of 12 rounds. Because if they go on 12 and you still give him that one last round, he can get you out of there then too. But I do believe the only challenge for him is Errol Spence Jr. And I'm not talking about the young dudes who are unproven, but they looking pretty damn good. But they should just wait for their turns, because there's a lot to be taken care of at the top of this division. And it'll be a tragedy if Earl and Bud don't ever fight. But there's a good chance that that fight might not happen. And it won't be either guy's fault, except for the one who knows that they could have fought years ago and they didn't. So the fans may lose out on that one. But I'll tell you something. It's a shame. Because when the talent is ready to go, boxing will flow. Man, when these guys stay away from each other, it just takes the sport into the garbage can. Now that's kind of deep to say the garbage can, but you have to take other fights and rehash them and reconsider them to replace the class that's not transpiring. So it's like, I don't like to do that. I like to talk about what's hot and what should be happening in the right now. I don't want to think about current fights that could be made as fantasy matchups. That's just utterly ridiculous. But Bud Crawford gave a scintillating performance against Sean Porter when he realized that he may be behind on the cards, and he got right off his stool and put Sean on his backside. You gotta love that. That means the guy can take the fight to another level at any moment. You don't know if he's giving you his best, but when he decides to do it, you can hear the Anita Baker song playing right away, and that's Terrence Bud Crawford, which Don't be surprised if he come out on his next ring walk playing some old school Anita Baker, because that's what Bud does. He takes us back, and puts them on their backs. There's a lot of people that don't like that, but tough tamales, there you go. So, but that's the Thunderous Top 10, man. The Thunderous Top 10 is not a pound for pound list. It's a list of fighters who are the current most impactful fighters in the sport today. And they impact the sport in a number of ways, not all of them in the same way, but some do it with their charisma and overall performance. Some do it by the performances that they mete out and how it may shift the paradigm in boxing. Some do it because they're exciting. Some do it because they're rugged and they can take the sport to a different level when they're at their best. It's a combination of these things, but it's not about pound for pound. I want people to understand that. So you might have your own Thunderous Top 10 that you think is a pound for pound list. Don't give a damn. I don't care about pound for pound list because today they're subjective as much as the fighters are unproven. So therefore the Stormybman's Thunderous Top 10 list comes from a different place and is made from a different type source. Understand it, feel it, and understand it some more, because that's what it is. Stormybman's Thunderous Top 10. Appreciate everybody out there for tuning in to see that, because I know that made everybody upset, and I don't care. Just hit the like button and come back for some more, That's what you do in that instance. We had a few more people pop into the building, Who we had out there? We had Crush the Legend is out there. Antonio Hambrick is joined. Yave says, Isaac Cruz is the most vague speaking boxer in history. No, he ain't. My man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens is out there as well. Who else we got here? Man, why is my screen getting so fuzzy? Isn't that something that YouTube started doing something weeks ago, people, where they made the you could change the video quality, and you have to do it almost like every show now and everything. That's, man, sucks. But anyway, let's see. William Old School Arden is out there. He says, salute Stormybman. Salute to you, bro. And Chi-Town's Finest is out there. Says, blessings, family. Can't chat, but listening. Appreciate that. 88 Sports Talk is out there saying, salute Stormybman. And salute to 88 Sports Talk, man, who leaves me the kindest messages on my content here on the channel. I really appreciate that support from 88 Sports Talk, man. Salute to you, brother. And Michael James 616 is out there saying, that's crazy. I came in and you talking about the Bud Porter fight, and I'm in round 8 of it right now. Yes, sir. Check that out, bro. And Yahweh says they can't even find a shadow boxing partner for Boo Boo. Hey, man. Boo Boo as in scare you to death, huh? Listen, man. Sooner or later, somebody gonna have to take that beating. I'd rather it be the Charlos, one at a time. But if we can't get that, can we just get one of them? That's what I say. And you know that your boy, what's the Mexican kid's name, just fought? Rosado? He don't want no parts of Andre or Charlo. So that's a shame. You're trying to build the kid up to be tough, huh? And when he have tough subjects on the horizon, you want to go and, say you need to take time off with your family and all of that stuff. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here, huh? You guys are weak in the knees, huh? Anyway, what's good? We got a lot to talk about here, man, with these fights coming up this weekend. And as I stated earlier, George Kambosos, the superhero of the lightweight division, he did away with one of the bad guys in the division, and gladly so to see him do his thing. Kambosos looked like $1 million. And when T.O. showed his backside in a manner of which we really didn't appreciate, he looked even greater, Looked even greater. But I'll save some of that for boxing conversations with Reggie Owens, because I know he got something to say about that. But in the meantime, we can take it to something else that took place where we saw Mr. Kambosos, making the rounds as he had been. He had an opportunity to go on with the man that I referred to, Scarface. He went on there with Teddy Atlas on his show. And Teddy had a chance to inquire about some things that Kambosos offered after the post-fight interview when his victory over Teofimo. And I thought it was pretty cool. Thought it was worth a listen. So I'll play some of it for you so you guys could hear what, get a chance to hear what Kambosos had to say. Very interesting interview here.
I want to touch on something that when I heard it come out of your mouth, I was very happy for you. But when I heard it come out of your mouth, I said,
I hadn't done that, but we'll get this together. Let's see here. How can I do that?
I want to touch on something that when I heard it come out of your mouth, I was very happy for you. But when I heard it come out of your mouth, I said, "Oh my goodness,
that they had this
I know that guy." And you talked about the great Customato. Obviously, he was my mentor. I spent 8 years with him in Catskill, New York, learning this business and going through the things you have to go through to be able to have a career in this business. And you were a 13-1 underdog, and the great Muhammad Ali was a 7-1 underdog, and there was some similarity. People are going to say, "Teddy, you're crazy. You're going too far now." Muhammad Ali and George Kambosos, now you're going too far. He's a great kid. He won a title, but that's let it breathe a little bit. That's give it a little time. No, I'm not crazy, but there was similarities. You were going into a place. Ali was going into a fight as the underdog with a great puncher, intimidating guy, and a guy that he wasn't.
I'll start that over for you guys.
I want to touch on something that when I heard it come out of your mouth, I was very happy for you. But when I heard it come out of your mouth, I said, "Oh my goodness, I know that guy." And you talked about the great Customato. Obviously, he was my mentor. I spent 8 years with him in Catskill, New York, learning this business and going through the things you have to go through to be able to have a career in this business. And you were a 13-1 underdog, and the great Muhammad Ali was a 7-1 underdog, and there was some similarity. People are going to say, "Teddy, you're crazy. You're going too far now." Muhammad Ali and George Kambosos, now you're going too far. He's a great kid. He won a title, but that's let it breathe a little bit. That's give it a little time. No, I'm not crazy, but there was similarities. You were going into a place. Ali was going into a fight as the underdog with a great puncher, intimidating guy, and a guy that he wasn't supposed to have a chance with. You were going into the ring with a great puncher, an explosive guy, an undefeated guy, and a guy you were supposed to have no chance. No chance. No chance. And you're in that position and you're listening to a tape, I guess it was, of Cus telling Ali, because I was there when Ali used to call the house and at different times. And they were close. And Cus was a mentor for Ali, for the great Ali. And I remember Cus always telling me the story, how before this fight in Zaire with Foreman, he got a call from Ali. And Ali said, look, everyone's telling me I got no chance. I'm crazy. Everything else, what should I do? How do I go about this? And
now, I just want to say, this is when Teddy Atlas is at his best. Okay, we know that he's done some things and said things to offend and to disrespect and to, kind of not give proper credit where credit is due. But when he starts to speak about Cus D'Amato and working with other people, offering up advisements or as he said, mentoring, because Ali and Cus did have a pretty decent relationship between one another and they respected one another. Ali liked Cus D'Amato's analytical mind, and they had discussions. Some of it was even caught on tape, where they film segments together, playing around with each other and talking about the philosophy of boxing. But when Teddy speaks from Cus's point of view and his boxing experience, it's on the level. Because eventually working with Cus D'Amato, Teddy was won over by what Cus had as far as that boxing knowledge and everything. So there's some respect there. So when he says what he's going to say here, it's not fluff. It's not kind of artificial. It's genuine. And I know enough about both Teddy and Cus to understand that. So I just thought I would kind of share that, because I'm not showing this or whatever to ridicule him or even take away from what was being said about Kambosos, because I actually said the same things about Kambosos in light of his victory. And that was way before I heard this. And I only heard this earlier today, which is why I thought I would share that, because days removed from the things that I said, I find it interesting that, Teddy has about 20 years more experience on me as far as, that knowledge of things, and far more than that, really, when you think about the age that he started working with Cus. So it's just interesting to be able to understand the sport of boxing with an analytical mind of the technical aspect of the sport, the cerebral aspect of the sport, because he voices it very well here, and he allows George Kambosos to understand that he recognized Kambosos' ring intelligence and ring smarts when he, spoke of Cus and these things. So I'll play the rest now.
Cus said to him, look, this guy's been a bully. This guy doesn't respect you. This guy thinks nothing of you. This guy thinks that he's just going to go out there, knock you out, and go home. You have to put it into his head from the beginning that that's not the guy he's facing. You got to put it in the head that you're not intimidated. You got to put in the head that this is a different guy you got tonight. This is a guy who believes in himself. This is a guy who's not leaving the ring without the belt. You are not being intimidated tonight. You are not getting your way tonight. And he told Ali the unthinkable at that time in boxing when you're fighting George Foreman. He thinks you're going to run. He thinks you're there to survive. You got to tell him without verbalizing it, with your fist, with your action, with your belief, you got to tell him, no, I'm here to win. I'm here to win tonight. You're not getting your way. And you got to walk across that ring and hit him with a freaking right hand and send that message. When I heard you talk about it, oh my, I said, wow, this kid is special. This kid was prepared in every way, the mental way, the emotional way, the spiritual way, the physical way, the technical way. This guy, he checked every box. This guy's special. He's got a chance to really be special, that he went that deep. Could you talk about that and what that meant to you when you heard that interview?
You see, that's what it's all about. And I've been talking about this. This is straight from Teddy Atlas's mouth. And one of the things before I started or began to have a dislike for Teddy Atlas, I had an endearment toward him in the early 90s. It was because this is the type of thing he used to share all the time. At some point, he went Hollywood a little bit, got theatrical and stuff like that. And part of that is because people started listening to him more, and part of that was just his ego or whatever. But when he's being straight up, no frills, talking about boxing, he can strip things to his core. And now to hear Kambosos' reply to him, you will understand why he excited Teddy, in that. In the meantime, before I go on with this with Kambosos' reply, I want to welcome to the show, we got Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. What's good with you, Reggie? Can't hear you, bro.
Okay, there we go. What's up, OG? How's it going?
Hey, what's good with you? I'm gonna finish playing this interview with Kambosos on Teddy Atlas's show from earlier in the week, and I heard this today, and I thought I'd take a segment of it and share it to the show because it's part of what we were talking about when you and I were off the air, and also part of it falls under this title for tonight's show, "The Cream Rises to the Top." So this is one of the things. Did you hear a little of it before you popped on?
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now in my ear.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and play Kambosos' reply to Teddy's questions.
I really did leave no stone unturned. I checked every box, and that book, I read that book with Tyson and Customato, and that is what played so well in my mind with this fight, because 100% Muhammad Ali had no chance. That no one gave him a chance against George Foreman, and he rang Cuss up and said, "What do I do with this guy?" And he said, like you said, you hit him with the best right hand you have. You go out there and you land that shot and you get his respect straight away. And the people around him said, "It's crazy. No one throws a right hand in that championship fight in the first round like that with bad intentions." And that stuck in my mind. That was what I was aiming to do. I knew this kid psychologically and was very emotionally, too much in this fight. And I said it all week. I'm not taking this personal. There is no emotion attached to me. I'm here to do a job. And that's why I came to that first round. He came guns blazing, trying to land the big shot. I stayed composed. I landed some nice, short, sharp, crisp shots. And I saw it. I saw that mistake. He came in heavy on that front foot. That chin was there. And I said, here's my moment. Here's my Customato moment. I'm going to land my right hand. I'm going to gain my respect. I'm going to earn my respect. And if he goes down, he goes down. But he's going to know that he felt what I possess. And I launched it. And I let it go. And I landed sweet. Put him down. And I came flying again. When he did get up, I came flying again and landed clean again. I was a little bit off balance. And, after that respect totally changed. But when the bell went, because they were saying one round. They were saying they're going to get rid of me one round. And I had to say it. And I looked at him. And it's a beautiful moment. And I said, "Hey, one round, I'm still here, and I put you down." And that's it. That's when the fight really began, because I just saw his soul get taken out of him, because he thought, wow, what am I dealing with this tonight? Who is this guy? He took my best shots. and he comes back and lands that shot, that's a special fighter. That's a true champion. And I was ready to go through whatever adversity, I was prepared to go through. And again, you're going to love this one. Lopez is talented, of course, but when you have confidence and character, that is a true fighter. That can outweigh talent. I am very talented as well, but my confidence and character, is what makes me the fighter I am today. It was a great win, and them things that the legendary trainer had in place, did help with my fight.
You just you couldn't say it better. And you're bringing out a point that I talk about all the time. In this business, it's called the sweet science for a reason, because this part of it is a big part of it, being cerebral, being smart. And I always say, again, I'm going to use another Cuz story. Cuz used to say, Teddy, as he wanted me to become this trainer, he used to say, Teddy, you got two tough guys. He said, that's a prerequisite to being a fighter. You're supposed to be tough. You got to be tough. And he says, so you got two tough guys, but one guy is just tough and the other guy's smarter. Bang. He becomes much tougher. And again, you're proving that point, because yeah, you were tough. Yeah, you were determined. Yeah, you were resilient. Yeah, you had character, but you were smart. You
see, that's what it comes down to. And they were reminiscing on the Ali Foreman fight in Kinshasa, Zaire, 1974, man. And again, that's when Teddy's at his best, when he's talking boxing. He doesn't have this thing where, he's got to be a company man. He's got to, do something for the network or whatever, this or that. He's just talking boxing from how he knows it and how Cus taught him, showed him. And that's why I wanted to kind of share that sound bite with you and kind of let you know where, basically, Kambosos struck a chord. And remember, he said he had read the book about Mike Tyson and Cus D'Amato. It was a book that he had referenced there. And he went in with the right type of mindset, the right type of constitution as a fighter. See, Lopez was the perfect opponent for him in this, because he was all fluff. And I believe Kambosos saw through that, but he used his experience of learning about what Cus shared with Mike and things like that, and remembering the Ali story and everything, because even guys who are of fluff or, insubstantial quality, they will show at some point who they are, and that's what happened. And once he was able to believe in what he was doing and see it accomplished as early as the first round, Kambosos couldn't look back. And that's what that's all about. So salute to him for having the wherewithal to take something where he had read and studied and come back and utilize it in the fight and make the most of his opportunity. Because that's what it's all about, being prepped to meet opportunity when it comes your way, but also understanding that, hey, you know what I mean? The other guy got 2 hands, 2 feet, just like you, and a heartbeat. The same things that hurt you hurt him. And he went in there and was like, okay, you say you're going to put me out in 1 round? I'm going to put you down in the first round. And Lopez was definitely not ready for that. So once again, back to my man, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. What do you think about this? What was played and what you were able to hear? You're on mute, Reg.
Oh, dang, my bad. I thought I came off, man. But like you said, this is when Teddy's at his best. And Teddy should stay right within within this key that he's locked in when he's speaking towards, you know, the history, knowledge, and engaging in these type of conversations with particular fighters. But you don't find too many fighters like Kambosos who will speak about the studies that they gain from even picking up a book to read something like this on the sport of boxing. And I like Kambosos from the first time I seen the way he approached Teofimo in that first press conference. Because in this thing, man, this was where I gained my confidence with this guy is from the psychological standpoint. To me, he was winning these battles anytime he stood face to face with Teofimo. And regardless of his height, this guy could have been 5'5" and Teofimo could have been 5'10". When they stood next to each other, the way in which he would stand firm and stand tall in front of Teal, it was almost like a 5'5" guy would gain a whole foot and stand 6'6". 6'5" in front of this guy. And that's just the way he began to break Teal down. I think Teal, from a psychological standpoint, was finding ways to delay this fight, to possibly get out of this fight. But it was just like this dude's mindset is different, his knowledge of the game, and even looking at these interviews with Kambosos post this championship, the belts haven't gotten to his head. I'm liking what the hell I hear from this dude. The belts haven't got to his head. He ain't worried about the belts. His respect to the opponents that he's been in there, looking at him and Mickey Bay engage with each other. That defined who the character of this dude is. Watching him and Devin Haney engage with one another defines who the character this guy is. He's a fighter. He's a guy going in here to engage in combat. He ain't worried about the frills and thrills of none of this crap. And even when he made the statement, when I think Blue Blood was asking him questions, my whoever Lou DiBella is to him as manager or whatnot, he's not the boss. I'm the boss. I'm not worried about if Devin Haney go out here and have what they, try to term as being a boring night, being if you go out there boxing. I box too. I enjoy that aspect of the game. Like this is the dude that you need for the sport, and this is the type of guy you need for the championship. It's not a guy who's going to let these belts go to his head, but a guy who can go in there and study the craft. And even he was trying to get back into the gym, but his team they had to keep him out the gym. Like, you need the rest. But the other thing with winning these titles is he gave a lot of homage to his team. A lot of respect was paid to his team, and it was not so much about himself. Their preparation, their study of Teofimo, everything went into what they captured that night. And with Teofimo prolonging, you just gave this guy more chapters of a book to study. And Teofimo's book is a very short book, so it didn't take too long. You let this guy read your book twice, 3 times. And but I like what I see with Kambosos, and the fact that he's up there at the Devin Haney fight, because there's 2 fights he has as an option. He can go to Devin Haney and Tank. Well, he can probably go to Tanks tomorrow, but it looks like he's ready to solidify, get these belts, locked in as one with Devin Haney. So I like what I see with this kid.
Yeah, I feel like, I've been calling him a superhero because he rid the sport of a couple of baddies. And I like to say that. And I'm going to continue to play around with that. But he in the other side of it is he stood tall amidst all of this. And even in areas where media might try to drag him into something or whatever, he has, pretty much stood his ground. And you can't help but respect that. He's already shown that he has respect for the sport by engaging us in the conversation of studying up past history, trainers, legends, Ali, Cus D'Amato, the philosophy of the sport and all of that. Dude, just in a few sentences, he's done more than a lot of guys have done with their freaking careers. And Teddy left out an important factor that I mentioned immediately after the fight. And maybe it was you know, he didn't have the time and this and that. But, and I'm not trying to say, oh, I thought of something he didn't think of. But I'm just stating to the listening and viewing audience out here right now, another significant factor was that Kambosos got off the canvas to win the fight. He got off the canvas to win the fight. There are a number of fighters in history who went down and didn't get back up. There are a number of fighters in history that had an opportunity to come back but wasn't able to fully come back to victory. When he got dropped by T.O. late in the fight, he said he had made a mistake. He said that he was still good, but he had to make sure he took care of himself to the end of the round. And once the round ended, he was all right. And he went back out and he won the next 2 rounds, which he actually did. He got up from the knockdown in the 10th, went back to the corner when that round ended, and came out and immediately took rounds 11 and 12 to secure his victory. That there is so much respect in that. And I'm sure if Teddy had a chance to talk about it, he would have said something about that. But that's another factor, Reggie, that you cannot deny and you cannot overlook, because when fighters get off the canvas to win, it shows something in them that we might not have known it was in them if it happens for the first time. But it also states something about their point of participation, what you might have to do or go through to get rid of them, stop them, or go to the end. And there are lessons that can be taught off of this alone. Matter of fact, when I do my next Tuesday tussle, I might include that in that, because resolution, you know, solving and resolving problems that are on the horizon, unforeseen, because everything is not going to go your way. And remember, we're living in an era now where a lot of fighters want everything their way. Can anybody say Canelo Alvarez? Can't do it unless it's all in their favor. Think about that. We've seen a number of these guys that way and perform that way. What do you have to say about that, Reggie?
Oh, about Canelo and wanting his way?
Yeah, about he and other fighters that kind of seemingly only want things their way.
I just pray for their defeat, man. I don't even really follow him, and I kind of really wish that more of these other fighters will push themselves to push Canelo towards being irrelevant. Even when those opportunities come into play, I kind of really just don't. I give Canelo his credit when he wins, but with the way in which he conducts himself in the sport, it just pushes me away to where I can care less about Canelo. And it's really more about the other fighters that are around him who are coming up. Even with Canelo defeating Caleb Plant, I'm still more engaged in where Caleb Plant goes with his career than where Canelo goes. I'm just looking for whoever Canelo fights as a serious opponent comes in here to defeat the guy. And I even like how Floyd Mayweather is speaking on that as well, as far as speaking about Canelo ducking fighters, propping up more of these younger fighters, like that he's giving notice to the Jerron Ennis's, to the David Benavidez, and also speaking about Canelo ducking this guy and Canelo being a cheat as well. I like that because people are getting fed up with Canelo's ish. And I think that needs to continuously be driven until they're forcing him into fighting these fighters that he needs to be fighting.
Yeah, a lot can be said, man, and we have so many examples. But for right now, this being a couple of weeks of lightweight matches, you know, even what's on the horizon for tomorrow and yet still Sunday evening, these are not necessarily walkover fights for both champions, Tank Davis, Devin Haney. The opponents that they have in these fights could be litmus test type opponents. They could be the type of guys who will bring certain aspects out of the champions that may give us insight to some things that we haven't seen from the champions yet. That's a hope. It's not necessarily only a hope, it's a possibility because of who these men are. And that's what's intriguing about the matchups to come. So when we talk about these things, Reggie, with the fight for tomorrow with Devin Haney and Jojo Diaz, give us some of your thoughts of why you can find this fight to be intriguing.
Because of who Jojo Diaz is. I mean, he's been in there with, I think, better opposition than Devin Haney. He's a proven fighter. He's a no-quit fighter. He's a relentless fighter. And he's a veteran. He's skilled. I mean, Jojo Diaz is a very skilled fighter. He's kind of been overshadowed by the other names that are out there. He hasn't been represented to where he's paid attention to like that, but that's good. That's not nothing that keeps Jojo away from still trying to pursue what he's looking towards, and that's becoming a champion over the division and putting himself into George Cambos's sweepstakes. But and there's a lot on the line. There's something that's driving Jojo Diaz that makes this very, very hard for Devin Haney, is what is at stake for Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz has come up short the one time twice he's come up short to where he's lost the belt. One, I think, was dealing with missing it on the scale. But also against, what's his name, Gary Russell, who he gave Gary Russell a very tough fight. He gave Gary Russell a very tough fight. And even seeing where his will to win when he faced Tevin Farmer, even with that severe cut, the cut never bothered that guy. He kept coming forward. And nothing changed about the style in which he fought, in which he was fighting and having success in that fight. He stuck with it, protected and kept himself protected against a guy with very good boxing and Tevin Farmer. Very skilled boxer. And was nothing that Tevin Farmer can do to stop this guy from being able to outbox him and outwork him. Devin's going to face a lot of that. It ain't just going to be out here to think that you're going to knock this guy out. That may never come. Devin's going to have to continuously work throughout this fight. I haven't seen Jojo tired in the fight. His conditioning is good. His volume is good. He's a strong fighter. Very, very, good tolerance as far as, you're not going to be able to hurt the guy. I haven't seen him hurt in a fight neither. And if he has to get rough, he's able to get rough. He showed that against Fortuna, who couldn't do none of that rough housing stuff that he likes to do. So this is a tough-willed dude, man. This dude's like a pit bull in there. And Devin has his hands full going into this fight tomorrow, but that's the type of fight you want to champion fighting. You don't want to champion getting these easy touches. You need something to sharpen this fighter up. And as far as when he moves forward in his career, if he's successful, that he gets, he gains the knowledge from being in there with somebody like a Jojo Diaz, who comparative is a veteran going into this fight. And I think he's seen more than Devin Haney. He'll probably be able to pick up on things, make some quick adjustments on Devin Haney. He's been in here with fighters who have been faster than him, probably more skilled than him in boxing, and he has been able to nullify some of that. So it's going to be tough, and it's going to be for Devin to have to figure that out as well. Devin's going to have to really step up in grade levels going in here against this guy, and he's going to have to be tough. He's going to have to take advantage of the advantages he has in his height, speed, and agility. He's going to have to use his legs quite a bit, move around, not using his legs to run around, but almost what you were speaking about. I think you was on Drew's show where you were speaking about the pivot. And I was like, damn, to hear you say that, man, because I'll be teaching my son and them things on like basketball and also with fighting. And it's not so much of moving around. It's so much of teaching them how to pivot, how to move somebody around. and to conserve yourself, not to waste so much energy. Just happen to take a step to the side, make a pivot, step to the side, pivot, turn this person. And that's what Devin's gonna have to use. Not so much of just moving around, just turn this guy. And a lot of these guys can't fight moving around. So Devin just has to stay clean and take advantages where he has the advantages naturally, and not being here trying to be too, flashy, trying to thrill the crowd with finesse and all that stuff. He's going to have to be sharp in this fight and just technically advance where he has the advantages at. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and to go back and piggyback off of something that you said, you mentioned two of JoJo's last opponents, not last opponents, but recent opponents that, from the other weight division, where he fought Gary Russell Jr. and Tevin Farmer. Two of the best boxers, in present boxing, and he faced both of those guys. And, Gary Russell is a southpaw, Tevin Farmer is southpaw, but it's like their boxing skill and boxing ring IQ for both men in different ways, by the way, are highly respected and respectable. So that tells us that just being able to box well doesn't make this a victory for Devin Haney. He's going to have to be able to do other things to offset Jojo Diaz, and some of the things he does best are things that Jojo has seen already, which takes us to what I was saying. These are the type of fights, particularly this, maybe more so than the Tank Davis fight, where he could be presented with something and has to pull this victory out in a way that he hasn't won a fight yet. That would all be a feather in Devin's cap if he's able to do that. And if he's able to defeat JoJo just by boxing him to death and, maybe open up a cut or something and have some type of advantage in that way, then you do that as well. But knowing the vast experience that both fighters have in different ways, this is not going to be just a simple, I can outbox this guy. Because Diaz knows what boxers do. He knows. But he also knows what a fighter does. And that's what he does. He fights. So when you look at these aspects of the game, you can expect an intriguing fight. You can expect that. And that's what we like. That's what we like. Should Devin be favored? Possibly, yes. Could something arise that no one foreseen? Certainly it could. But we have to tune in to see exactly what's going to happen. And I tell you, the more you look at this, the more you can see the fact of what I'm talking about being, let's see how he handles certain things. Let's see. And let's remember this. A lot of guys have been avoiding fighting Devin Haney for various reasons. He's not the kind of kid that you look at and think like, oh, he's a devastating puncher. I'm scared to get knocked out and this and that. But people have avoided him because he can make you look bad. He can outbox you pretty darn good. And being a young man with such, good boxing talent, but he's still an unproven commodity because he hasn't had the people to step in the ring with him that could have helped that process. Diaz is a man that's coming up from a lower weight to help the process, but it's not a man of the weight. So there are still some things the jury will be out on. But again, this is why we tune in, and you can't state it enough, man. You can't state it enough. That's just one of the things on general principle people should pay attention to, and not just hand somebody a victory without having seen them go through something, you know? And that little punch that he got shook up with in his last fight or whatever, that's not enough to say he went through something, because had that happened early in a round where we had to see him survive and hold and clinch and maybe even hit the canvas and get back up and show what he got, all those things didn't happen. Huh? It happened relatively close to an end of a round where he was able to go sit down and get refreshed and everything, and he did do that, and he came back out and finished. But again, this is why we want to see the fights take place. There's enough that can be shown and said for a lot of guys in the sport once the challenges are issued. So, but you know, those are my thoughts on that, Reggie.
Yeah, no, those are my only thoughts on there. But I'm going for Devin, but nothing is guaranteed, because he, like stated, he is going to get in here against a veteran. And this is a tough veteran. Just that JoJo has the experiences, and with JoJo having those experiences, he's not old at all. And there's a lot motivating JoJo as well as Devin. There's a lot motivating Devin, but I think JoJo is super hungry trying to go up here after this title. So it's going to be well earned for whoever pulls it off. But I'm going to go for Devin, but that doesn't guarantee him to win. We mess around having major upset tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on over to Sunday night's fight. This is a fight that, you know, again, we were originally expecting Rolly Romero in there. And, of course, due to some, you know, accusations and things of that nature that weren't in favor of Rolly, the fight got changed. Rolly was taken off of the card. And in steps Isaac Cruz, who I think was an original consideration for a fight with Tank, but the money side of things had to be worked out. And so now Tank steps in with Isaac. They're kind of close in stature, height, little guys who are little tanks, both of them. They call Cruz the pit bull, and they call Tank. So it's like, you know, these are two men who can get in your grill and wreak havoc. Tank has more versatility as a boxer. He can do things from mid-range as well as, you know, inside. Cruz presents a bit of a different problem because being a shorter guy, you know, I don't know how Tank's punches are going to flow, you know, or how Cruz's punches are going to flow. The only thing we do know is that these guys are going to let the leather fly. And I consider that a great thing, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what boxing fans want to see. They always want to see the men mix it up. They always want to see the men in there wreaking havoc, doing their thing. And this is no different. I just wonder how long it might last. And, of course, we're going to get that answer. But I don't think this fight is going to go many rounds. And I'll tell you, if Tank makes mistakes and Cruz is able to capitalize on them, Tank could possibly find himself getting shaken up or something in this fight. I don't think that Tank is going to lose this fight, but it could be a good brawl. It could be, you know, however long it lasts. But at the end of the day, we do understand that the management of Tank is angling him more and more toward being a tremendous star in the sport. So they are looking to always showcase him at his best. That doesn't always mean fighting the best of opponents, but they fight the opponents who are necessary to project him forward. And as long as you understand that, you can understand what's happening with Tank's career. Could Tank be fighting better opponents? Absolutely. Can he beat better opponents than he's fought? Absolutely. But we do have to understand this is the route that they've chosen for him. And unless he wants to part ways with the guys who are managing this aspect of running his career, it is going to be what it's going to be unless he makes a change. What are your thoughts on this, Reggie, with Tank and Isak's fight?
Man, Tank cannot go in here and do unnecessary things. Tank has to go in here, be serious, not get drawn into a dogfight, because I think this kid may be a strong kid. He may be a strong puncher. I know he's smaller than Tank, which is crazy to find somebody shorter than Tank. So Tank can't give away his advantages, being that this guy is shorter than him. Tank is skilled in boxing. Hopefully Tank doesn't underestimate this guy. Treat this guy like he's a threat. Use the advantages that you have. Tank is a skilled boxer who can also punch. But I think Tank just got to go in here, take the advantages as quickly as possible. And if this guy doesn't belong in there with him, break the guy down, get him up out of this ring. You don't want this guy staying around and he becomes dangerous. You know, Tank don't want to go in exchanging, trying to see whose power is rated much higher than the other. So he doesn't need to go in there and do unnecessary things. He needs to stay in control of this fight, press the action, get this guy up out of here, and stay technically sharp. Stop this guy. You know, you hit and not get hit. That's what I see from Tank. But just break the guy down, get him out of here. Don't do any unnecessary things like engaging in those center of the ring exchanges. Like, just blow this guy out the water.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think it could definitely be an entertaining fight, highly entertaining, and I believe like it's kind of one of these fights that like if you miss it, you're probably gonna miss something that happens or some type of actions or whatever that you're gonna be like, dang, I wish I saw it live. You know what I mean? That's how I'm kind of gearing toward this, even if it's Tank knocking the dude out in spectacular fashion or whatever. But to remind everyone from the show I did last night, the Boxing Raps, Watcher and I were talking about he having seen some clips of Isak in the gym. And he noticed that Isak was having trouble with the uppercuts as he was moving in, but not only as he was moving in, as he was moving out. And Isak was getting hit and tagged pretty good. So, you know, one of Tank's best punches is an uppercut. So I kind of laughed when Watcher was saying that, and I was like, uh-oh. Because if that be the case, you know, he's going to be a dead ringer for Tank Davis's one of his best shots. So I only hope that we get a great, engaging fight, highly entertaining. But I just want to see good fights, man. I really do. At the end of the day, I'm not picking sides or anything like that. I just want to see some damn good fights, because you could tell the powers that be, the sanctioning bodies, and including networks and promotional companies, they are keeping the best of the fights away from us as much as they can, man, because they think that they can just continue to gyp the public on quality over quantity. They'll give us 4 or 5 fights a year that we didn't want to see and give us 1 or 2 that we did and think that's enough to suffice. It isn't. And that's why we have to keep the heat on them. You know what I mean? And as long as we keep the heat on them, they can't continue to do that, because the heat that we keep is typically associated with our spending dollar. You know, there's power in that money that you spend. So, but I just got a notification, Reggie, that Blue Blood is going live with Bill Haney and Devin. So I think I'm gonna cut our show down a little bit. It's only about 20 minutes, but I know people are going to want to see that, and I'm not going to try to just hold the air. But I will say that we've spoken of our piece about this, and there will be a post-fight show for both cards, and we'll come back and offer even more for the people. But would you like to go ahead and give some final thoughts on everything in anticipation of tomorrow and Sunday?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, man. For one, here we go with some more good boxing. I'm glad that this one ain't battling for time slots, that they have given us 2 days of boxing against some guys who are top rated in the division, and to set up things for this possible undisputed championship. But these are tough fights. With Devin's fight, I can definitely say with a high level of certainty it's going to be a tough fight. Tank Davis, not sure what the opponent comes in there like, because I don't know too much about Cruz, but he looks strong. That can turn out to be a tough fight as well. I'm looking forward to both fights, and thank goodness get another good fight weekend. But that's all I got, OG.
Yeah, and you know, you're right, and I'm sorry for not even bringing that up, but they did get this right for this weekend by not overlapping these two cards. Even though I think both cards are meted for the main eventers, but it's just great to know that they didn't run into that problem this particular weekend. And if this proves successful, maybe someone will pay attention for the future for that. So, with that being said, thank you for mentioning that, because that's a very important aspect of things. But we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Salute to everybody that came out, participated in the chat, those who smashed my like button. I appreciate you guys who did that. And let's head on over to Blue Blood and hear what Bill and Devin have to say. That's what I want to kind of tune in for that myself. I'm going to lay down. My shoulder's hurting me a little bit. But much respect to everybody out there, man. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow evening on the post-fight. And until we come together again, peace to everybody. Remain safe. Enjoy your weekend. And most of all, enjoy these fights coming up. Peace.
Peace.